Good afternoon. This is Marianna again from Wow Women of Worth. I'm here this afternoon with Felicite Mbenga. Sorry about that. How are you, Felicity? How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So Felicity Mbenga, is it correct? I
That's perfect. Yeah, well done.
Thank you. So, for who doesn't know me, I am Marianna. I am the founder and CEO of Wow Women of Worth, a platform dedicated to women in business. Since pandemic, we have been helping women with their marketing in order to face a more sustainable marketing. And during the month of March, for 3 years, this is actually our third edition. We are having a fantastic festival to showcase women, to inspire women, to have feedback from women, and actually create a community space where we can not only share but actually inspire each other, and why not learn from each other. That's why I introduced these live interviews throughout this month. Even if the International Women's Day has passed, we are celebrating, as I was saying, all the year round our women. So until the 16th of March, which is our closing date of our festival. So we are still here talking with women about women. So Felicity, of course, is also looking after men, I guess, but because she's on our platform, we are sharing this space for you. So even our audience is also followed by our audience is made of also men, so it's also the space for them. So no inclusivity otherwise. So we are not doing exclusively for women, but also having the opportunity to meet, also men. So Felicity, I would love to hear from you who you are and what you do.
So that's a good question. Thank you. So I'm a writing coach, and I am the founder of Write.It. So as a writing coach, I help people improve on their writing by understanding the psychology of their clients, by understanding the way in which their clients really think, so that they can almost not just predict how their clients will behave, how they will respond, but also dictate the way in which they respond to whatever it is that they're writing. So I use quite a lot of cognitive psychology, a lot of linguistics in the way that I teach writing. And it really opened up my writers to a whole new world that they didn't even know was possible with regards to writing.
So I think what you do then is an extension of who you are. So who
Yeah.
really are you?
Oh, I suppose, yeah, I suppose the core part of me, I suppose, is a teacher as well as a student. Um, I'm a student of pretty much everything and anything. I'm a really, really curious person. And that curiosity is something that's led me to really see what makes people tick, what makes people be themselves, what brings people joy, what makes people happy, what makes people sad. And I think that is something that I wanted to kind of dive a little bit more into within the writing space. I wanted to kind of open up a new world for people to be themselves, express themselves, and show themselves um, in a way that has not really been done before, I think. Um, I don't know if that really answers the question, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
no, basically, because
Yeah.
I think behind every, job we are doing, so there is a, like human being or human doing. So
Yeah.
if we are doing things, before that, we are somebody. And I'm fascinated what you do for your, young age and starting your own business and having so clear what you want to do. That is fantastic. So that's why I'm thinking, who are you? So what is within you, your human element that is making you be out there bold enough in order to say, oh, this is me. I don't care. I'm going for it. So who is within you that you hiding with your, in the sense that is within you, hiding from your being? Is a
Oh,
writer, is an explorer. So,
yeah. I suppose you could say someone who's a bit of, you could say there's an adventurer out there, right?
hmm,
Somebody who isn't necessarily afraid of taking risks. And even if there's a little bit of fear, I'm bold enough to kind of go out there and do it anyways. If it fails, it fails. And if it doesn't fail, well, then it's a nice surprise. I'm a writer by nature. I love my poems, and I love writing my short essays. I love expressing myself in a way that is extremely abstract, sometimes shocking, but very experiential. um I suppose I already said I'm a student and I'm a teacher. I'm a nature lover. I love really being able to feel the world around me and then expressing that through my art or through my craft, and then inviting others to experience that same thing too. So yeah, you could say that I'm an explorer as well in that sense.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
because you need to go through the journey of yourself, which is the most
Yeah.
complicated one sometimes.
Yeah, it really is.
So let me understand, and this passion has always been within you. So you've been always writing, or it happened something to you that you started discovering it.
I've That's a really good question. I've always enjoyed reading. I've always enjoyed being lost in another world. And then shortly after, so to give you a bit of background, I'm not born in the UK. I was born in Congo. I was there until about 7 or so, moved over to the UK, and so I had to learn a whole new language. Learning that language, to be honest, the speed with which I learned it really comes down to my dad. He was a teacher. He was actually a university professor, so he spent a lot of time training me up and helping me really master the English language. But his biggest thing was reading for me. He made me read day in and day out, like 1,000 books. And that's kind of where my love for reading came. And then he encouraged me to write on the other side of it. He didn't just want me to read, he wanted me to write. So from a young age, I started writing stories, but also kind of creating these books. I'd staple wads of paper together and say, oh, this is a book. It was a really terrible first edition, but yeah. And then that just developed into then going on to university, editing my friends' research papers, their lab reports, and then teaching them, doing a bit more than just editing. I'd go in there and show them why I've done what I've done and the impact on the actual reader, how I've kind of how what I've done has resulted on a very specific outcome and how I've determined that outcome. So then that went on to tutoring. I grew my client base of tutees. In the beginning, they were just GCSE students, and then that widened, and each student would increase or go up a couple of grades and get really, really good scores. And I managed to do that with just a few months of preparation. For some reason, students don't like to go to tutors like at least a year in advance, right? So no, it was really good to see that my approach to teaching writing um, was effective, and it was good to see that even students as young as GCSE students were able to take that on practically and have something to show for it. So they would, increase, their grades would go up by 2 grades. And then, yeah, that just continued from there. I then went on to being a proposal writer and then a bid manager, where it's just all about writing and it's all about the client and it's all about making sure that the client's needs and wishes are met, and that and it's a trickier one actually in bid management because there are so many variables um, to making sure that you win the contract. And so if you're able to really determine every single stage of that procurement process to win the contract, it's a massive thing. So being in control of those, well, while you can't be in control of the extra variables, being able to kind of remain in control of everything that you write is something, or one of the ways that I like to empower my clients. And it kind of gives them back the power that they didn't feel like they had, because, you think, oh, a different competitor has this relationship, or they've managed to kind of bring their price down even more, so we have no chance. It's kind of leveled the playing field, as a bid writer, and given back bid managers their competitive edge. So yeah, so it's really manifesting itself in so many different ways.
Wow, this is interesting. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, by the way, you said that when you write and you read and you want to be in a different world, how
Yeah.
difficult is or has been, or if hasn't been difficult at all, writing for business? Because living in a world where there is a fantasy, you can express freely yourself, or
Mm.
you can imagine, a different world. How sad is for you? Is it restrictive? It was restrictive. It was easy. What was the impact from this free world into a business world where there are some rules instead?
I would say the main difference between business and, well, writing, well, creative writing, is the outcomes are different. So in business, you're wanting to generate more sales, for example. You're wanting to convert your readership into sales. You're wanting to win a contract. You're wanting to create partnerships. You're wanting to um, enter new markets. Wanting to broaden your target audience. Whereas with um, with creative writing, the outcomes will be different. Yes, you'll want to increase your readership base, but um, you and you may want them to buy books, but you also want them to have an experience as they read your work. You want them to feel a connection that is a little bit different to the connection you'd want business clients to have. I would say the main difference in terms of how then I approach writing, um, is that I tailor my writing style to the objective. So, how can I kind of explain this? As a bid manager, I'm looking to win a contract. And so I've got to come with more of a technical approach to writing. Whereas in creative writing, I can experiment a lot more with the tools that I have available to me. Now, the tools are exactly the same, but I may use them differently in both settings to achieve different effects. Does, I hope that makes a little sense.
Absolutely, I follow you. I
Yeah.
much to follow you. Yeah. Wow. You were telling, and my question was because there's two different worlds altogether, as you said, the
Yeah.
creative world, you actually connect to a different level with through an experience. Instead, for
Yeah.
business, you need to have, there is still, an objective for the creative writing, but is not that restrictive sometimes, especially when demanding, like instead the performance, winning a contract, winning more clients, and so on. Did you find difficult to switch from the one to the other, or actually you managed to put your human element and feeling in your element itself, being you, writing it from the creative writing into the business writing? So what was the link within yourself? So the element you felt, I am in my element, even if I'm writing for creative writing or writing for business,
Mm.
I'm in my element. What is that element that make you thinking that there was not a big issue anyway between the two?
So, what was the element that makes me feel connected? Sorry, is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
what is the thing that, despite that's so different, what is your human element that makes you writing both without feeling that one is more complicated or the other?
Okay. Ooh. I think it's how can I put this? I think it's a really good question. I need to simplify the answer. So when I'm writing, I'm thinking about the end reader, but I'm not just thinking about what they want. I'm thinking about their experience and their response to what I'm saying. I'm thinking about their thought process. I'm thinking about the pattern of that thought process. And I'm thinking about how whatever I do will either increase the likelihood of them accepting me or decrease that chance of them accepting me. So essentially, I guess what I'm trying to say is the my approach to both sides, both creative and professional writing, is similar in that sense because I'm thinking about the end reader. I'm thinking about how they respond to me. What would be the main difference though is the techniques and how I implement those techniques in both in different settings.
Cool.
Um, and I think the what makes it easy to approach both styles of writing is not just knowing who my target audience is, but understanding what makes us human, understanding how we connect, understanding how we experience the world. I think there's a basic um I don't want to say there's a basic level of psychology, but there's a fundamental humanity or level of humanity that we all adopt or that we all have. There's something in us that makes us all human, and that therefore makes us all predictable, if that makes sense. It makes us all sort of susceptible to various things. It makes us more likely to react in a specific way to one factor versus another factor. Um, but then understanding as well how cultures come into play and how different societies come into play also really, really helps. So I'm Congolese, so I know that in my Congolese culture, um, you know, parents will want to be treated a very specific way or greeted a specific way. And that will kind of let them know that their children respect them. Whereas in a Nigerian culture, um, parents being greeted by kneeling or kind of curtsying a little bit will let them know that they're respected to a certain, you know, to a certain level. I guess what I'm trying to say is that understanding these different nuances, understanding how people work in those specific circles helps to really kind of get to the heart of how the reader thinks, and then you can kind of play into that when you're writing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
that's great.
Yeah,
Well, now we live in this digital era. AI is, our friend at home, every day at home, at work, everywhere.
yeah.
So, and there is so much content produced now. Well, on the internet, blogs. There's so much to, we can read and but not able to read. So, what do you think is that would be the human element that is helping people to connect with themselves and actually start reading? Because I think this is something that is missing nowadays. We have bombarded, we create so much content, beautiful content, but nobody is reading and paying attention. Why? People like you have this passion, trying to connect, and that beauty is vanishing in that respect. So, what do you think is missing for us to, from a human point of view, in order to connect and listen and writing in this case, reading in this case, what the writer does?
Okay, so just to summarize your question, are you asking me what we can do to connect a bit more and read more.
I think what is in your opinion missing out there
Mm,
in order to have this connection. So someone that is writing
mhm,
and someone is reading,
mhm,
because there is so much content out there, and most of the times it's wasted because nobody is reading it. So
mm.
because the writer is thinking to, is giving away his gift, is writing for a reader, and the reader is not connecting back, it must be very sad. You
Yeah.
feel, yeah. So what do you think is missing in this world now, from the reader point of view, that is not reader, potentially reader, but is not read until reads, in order to read and be connected?
In order to read and be connected. That's a good question. I think the onus is more on the writer, if I'm honest,
Mhm.
to cater to the reader, because the reader has so much choice, because there is a lot of noise and there are a lot of distractions. The writer has to um, be a lot more tactical and a lot more strategic if they're going to pull the reader's focus away from something that is maybe more powerful or maybe stronger or maybe more interesting. And so on the writer side, there needs to be a level of understanding how the reader moves, understanding how their specific target audience works, understanding what that target audience usual desires are, and they then need to come up with a counter offer, an offer of something that is a lot more enticing. There are so many different ways to do that, but I would say it's really the writer needs to get some level of in-depth understanding.
And what do you think? For example, you are a young writer. Do you
Mm.
reckon that is age group related to get a readership, or you can reach a readership which is beyond your
Yeah,
age group? No?
you can definitely reach a readership that is beyond you. It's just about how you set up your content, and it's about learning how that readership focuses as well. Learning if you want to reach multiple readerships just through one content, then it's about understanding what the similarities are between each readership and playing into and catering to them.
And you were mentioning me that you write poems,
Yeah.
but now you've grown up lady, and do you feel more comfortable to write pieces that they are long-standing, or you also like to have, a bite, something that, is consumed in a bite? So what you want to leave a legacy, or something that is grasped and beaten right away?
Oh, I think a lot of people want to leave behind a legacy, don't they? Everyone wants to be, you know, remembered forever, right? But and I suppose I am working towards that as well. So even though right now I write poems and things, which you can say is consumed immediately, right? The goal is it's abstract and it's systematic in a sense, because I'm writing poems that speak to different chapters of my life. And they're arranged in such a way that essentially you end up reading about an autobiography, except it's not an autobiography in the the standard way. It's a very artistic, very creative autobiography in that it paints my life and my thoughts on my life, but it does it in a way that is unusual. So in that way, yes, I want to leave a legacy, but my legacy will also be left through Write.It, right? My ideas, my techniques, my strategies, all of that will naturally be built on, but it will remain.
Yeah, and any writer needs inspiration. So, is it come to you inspiration, or you have a special place for you, a sacred space where you have an inspiration from? when you have to
Oh,
write?
a sacred space. I wouldn't say I have a sacred space, but I have moments of inspiration. I can get inspiration from anything and anyone and anywhere. Usually they come from other works of art. So other poems or poets, other authors. One of my favorite authors is Toni Morrison, legendary writer. I like to use some of her writing techniques in my work. I don't know if you know Emily Dickinson. She's another poet. I use her stylistic approach to expressing um, theories and concepts sometimes in my writing. Actually, I do that a lot. The way that she'll describe nature or the way that she'll describe death is often in an experiential, metaphorical way. And that's something that I've adopted in a lot of my poems. So, yeah, inspiration from other works of art.
Wow, fantastic. So, and when have you launched your program already?
Yeah, so I my webinar is ready for people to join it now. It is available for sign up from Friday this week.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so yeah, soon people can go and register on the Write.It website, but the registration link will also be made available on my Instagram at Write.It official.
Hmm. Wow. So, and how is going to work? Is how many sessions? How did you structure it?
Okay, so the webinar itself is completely free, and it's full of um, initial systems that people, or methods rather, that people can take away to start using to get the outcomes that they actually desire. They learn how to engineer those outcomes, to dictate those outcomes, as opposed to just winning by luck or winning by chance, because then it makes it easier to recreate those wins. Um, so the webinars are completely free, but then I also have, off the back of that, a 3-day program that takes place once a month, the last weekend of each month, where we will do a much deeper dive on not just the techniques that will have been made available to people on the webinar, but even more techniques. It will be a webinar that is also dedicated to helping people unleash their creativity, understand the difference between various writing styles. It will help people hone in on their own writing style, uncover their own writing style, because many people do not realize that they have one. Um, and then off the back of that, there's an opportunity to be coached on a one-to-one basis by myself.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so lots of opportunities to really not just connect with the reader, but lots of opportunities to become a part of a very supportive community, a community of other professional writers, not just bid managers. And it will mainly be an opportunity to understand oneself, understand how you think, how you move, how you behave, what your telltale signs are. Because oftentimes we're telling the reader a lot of information about ourselves without actually meaning to, and I call them data leaks. And sometimes those data leaks can work in our favor, but most of the time we're revealing information that we don't want the reader to think or to know. So if we have a lack of confidence in one particular area, that can come across quite clearly through the way that we structure our response or the punctuation that we use. And so, yeah, it will be an opportunity to know who we are and learn how to present ourselves in a stronger way.
Brilliant. I love it. Well done, you. So,
Thank
if you could pick up a word, what would it be, as your mantra or intention for the year?
Oh, my mantra for the year. I would say expansion.
Expansion.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Brilliant.
that's what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, especially with the writing, definitely you have to stretch
Yeah,
yourself, trying, and you are growing that respect.
yeah,
So you're stretching first, and then you expand. Means once you stretch, which is above your limits, and then you start then grow and then expand. I love it. Wow,
exactly.
this is very inspirational. Thank you very
Ah,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. It was lovely talking to you. Honest, thank you for making us living what is in your heart really, and before being in your mind, because
Hmm.
we were discussing this before. Writing is an act coming from the
Yeah,
heart, and then of course you need to apply the technique, and definitely something that maybe we can discuss at a point a little
yeah,
bit further,
of
talking about
course.
technique. Would be great to know a little bit more. If you can share, it'd be great. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, we can set up another conversation.
Okay, Felicity. So thank you very much for your time, and best of luck for your webinar. And I know I'm going to see you soon in London, so we have a great
Yeah.
stuff to do together. And
Yeah, I can't wait to see you. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Mariana. We'll see you soon.
see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.